So this is my proxy project homework. Here's the code for it. You start off by importing all the necessary headers. The first function is an error handle function. The parameter that's passed in is the user query, so it'd be like get whatever HTTP / 1.0 1.1. This will just make sure it's a get header and that it's HTTP 1.0. And if not, it'll return an error message that gets sent back to the client. This is the main process function. I'll get to that in a second. My main function, it takes in two parameters, the port number and the cache timeout timer. It checks if you submit the parameters. If it doesn't, exits, assigns the parameters, makes a socket, binds the socket, and then we listen for clients that are tuning in, where they want to go. And this listening socket is also based on the port number that was passed in by the user. Then we have an infinite loop. We accept any new connections in the listening socket. We make a new fork here, and for handling each request. Once in the fork, it'll check if it's the child, otherwise it'll keep listening for more requests. In here, it'll go through this loop until the client has nothing more to send, and it will go into the handle process by passing in the socket ID and the buffer that the request was written on from the client. So here at the top, it's passed in the socket ID and the buffer with the request. It goes back in here to run the error handling. If something's wrong, the program will just return and the child will die. Here you go through the GET request one more time to pick out the World Wide Web access. So later here you can do get host by name, which is the URL you extracted from the GET request. All this stuff here, this is stuff that I was trying to do for the caching. What it does is you just import the MD5 library. You make a hash out of every GET address, so like google.com/index or whatever. It'll get a MD5 hash, and then the contents of that web page will be saved on the local system. Went over this already. Here you open up a socket to talk to the server that the client wants to talk to, but they're going through the proxy. You can make a socket, get an error. Here get host by name again, so you can figure out who to talk to basically, so you can get the web page. String token. Here is the message you send to the server requesting the web page, and it's in format get whatever the directory is, HTTP / 1.0. Once that's done, you try to connect to the server using the server sock that was made previously with the different parameters. Once you do that, you send the message that was constructed before right here to the server and wait for a reply. Well, this is all sending. Here is where you make the new file using the MD5 hash that was found before for each web page. And then as soon as you start receiving data from the server, you write it to the file, and you also send it to the user at the same time. Then once that's done, you close the file, and this is done so in case the user wants to go back to the web page, it'll be cached, and they'll be able to. We won't have to talk to the server anymore because we'll already have it saved in the local system. So this is just error checking. You finally close the server socket and you return, and that is pretty much my proxy.